And hey everyone, welcome to another Kafka live stream by Lenses. I will be your host for today. My name is Marios Andreopoulos. If that sounds Greek to you, it is because it actually is. Just to shortly introduce myself, here at Lenses, I mostly do DevOps and site reliability engineering, but I also engage with our valued customers from time to time through support and professional services. For today's live stream, we will pick up from the last session where Ivan talked about GitOps and Kafka. Today, we'll go a little bit more practical and we'll talk about connectors as code with the Lenses platform. What you're going to learn in short today is how you can integrate Kafka connectors with your CI/CD toolchain and also manage your connectors as code with the Lenses platform. Andrews Stevenson, our beloved CTO, is going to actually demo this new capability of Lenses for you and answer any questions that you may have. Before going forward, I want to talk to you a little bit about the Lenses CLI. So as you may already know, everything in Lenses is an API and mostly a REST API at that. We also have a WebSocket API for queries. Lenses, beyond a very nice web interface that can enable your teams, can also be a valuable tool for your automations and for managing your infrastructure as code, right? Everything that you can do from our web interface, you can do it through our API. And as such, there is also one more application that accompanies Lenses, that is the Lenses CLI. It has been with us since the start of Lenses, and it enables you to do almost everything that you can do from your browser to do the same from your command line. And there are quite a few reasons to do that for developers. If the terminal is your poison, at least for me it makes things much easier. For your platform team, now they can use the Lens capabilities into their automation tools and their CI/CD. And then, of course, the most important part might be that you can automate your infrastructure and keep it as code, which is something very important these days. I can do a quick demo of the CLI because maybe some of you have not seen the CLI before, just so you get an idea of what that is. Here is the Lenses CLI. I can do some basic stuff, list the topics that are currently in my Kafka. Maybe I just want the names like that. I can check my connectors. So here I get a list of my connectors. By the way, we do have autocomplete and everything else that you would expect. Oh, hey, Anand, I see you're raising your hand. Do you want to ask a question? I will continue and feel free to unmute yourself and ask a question. You can even use the CLI to run queries, right? Maybe we want to see some records from a topic. We just can run the query here, and that could be it, right? And we can even automate stuff. I can create a few topics quite easily. I have a typo, but that's totally okay there. I can do something like that. And here I created the topics, right? And I can as easily delete them, by the way. Just to give you an example, before we pass to Andrew, where he will show the interesting stuff for today, but something like that. We can just list the topics, and then maybe we just want to delete all topics that have the main text inside. So I can do something like that. And then I can do, let's just see. Oh, sorry, I make a typo here. But it would be something like that. I can fix it for you if you want.
I was going to say you're brilliant typing all that at the command line.
That's true. That's true. I thought I would record first, but hey. So let's continue with our presentation and feel free to play with the Lenses CLI. It is also distributed with our box image and you can even expose it in the browser, just as I did. If you set the web terminal port variable and you can play around. Anyhow, why are we taking this approach? Data is an asset of your company, right? Data is the goal of your company. And anytime you go close to production data, you need to have to feel the security, to feel enabled in order to be able to do your job. We do have an excellent UI for creating connectors or doing other Kafka operations. But when it comes to production, you need to first of all, you need to make sure that you have some governance in place. You need to make sure that there are more than one set of eyes doing stuff. You need to have some history. I think many of us have been in a war and we know what makes our infrastructure and our systems more robust, right? I need to know what happened in my system, when it happened, why it happened. Maybe I can try to revert it. And in order to minimize all incidents, I want many people working on my infrastructure. So the whole idea is that you can use the Lenses CLI or the Lenses API as a tool to manage your infrastructure, your backend infrastructure, no matter the provider. And with this introduction, we go on source code. Andrew, do you want to take this slide or?
Yeah, no, I'll continue. Can you hear me? Because I thought that was either me or you breaking up, but hopefully you can hear me. I think we just had a question there that was, does the CLI work against Confluence? I was assuming. Yes, it does. The CLI works against Lenses, and then Lenses works against whatever Kafka you've got, right? It doesn't matter. Confluence, Apache Kafka, MSK, doesn't matter. With the CLI, you're speaking to Lenses. So as Mario said, all the buttons you press on the UI have an API behind it. What CLI is doing is just also calling those APIs as well, but giving you that at the command line. So you can integrate it into your CI/CD system, which we're gonna show here at the moment. So what I'm going to talk about, it's a bit of a carry on from what I talked about last time, was what we've done in 5.5. So in 5.5, we added the ability to generate a code specification for connectors. Now, we could list the connectors before. I think Mario showed that as well. But what we've added into this specification is on our journey towards GitOps. So what we're actually adding into it here is a state. Before we could just create a connector, but we're not actually saying, you know what, I want this connector started, stopped, etc. Or the same when we add in SQL processes and 5.6. We'll now put into the specification that not only the definition of the connector, where it's going to, but we also want the state of it in there as well. So what we've added into the CLI in 5.5 is an apply command. So it's quite similar if you're using Kubernetes, a similar concept. We have the YAML file that defines what we want to realize in our cluster. And then we have a command apply. So here we have an example of it here. So go to the next slide, please, Marius. Let's have a look at what you've put for me on the next slide. Yes, so here we go. So just to differentiate between what we had before and what we had now, everything you were doing inside of Lenses would have a direct effect. Okay, based on permissions, we wouldn't let you create things that you're not allowed to, but if you created a connector, it would deploy the connector. But actually, maybe in your production environment, you're not allowed to create a connector. So how do you get it in? So what we've done now in this first step 5.5, remember it's a journey, is that we give you the ability to download, create the connector, download the connector, put it into your CI/CD system, then use the Lenses CLI to create your resource. All right, so this is what we've just done now. So we go to the next slide. What we're aiming for is to, in a Lenses 6 something release, is to have the full cycle. So what we do now is we download the connector, check it into your version control, and have the Lenses push it against Lenses, and that could be deployed against AWS, on-prem, Confluence, you name it, whatever. What we're actually going to do then is, in Lenses 6 plus, is we're going to have a connection to the Git repo, and then Lenses will just watch that Git repo and it will do the reconciliation. Why do we want to do that? Because then in your production environment, all you need is a connection to Git, and Git will be the constant, right? Regardless of whether you're on-prem in the cloud, whether you've got Kubernetes or bare metal, whatever, you're bound to have a Git. Pretty sure you've got a Git, right? So all we need to do is just watch that. And then it doesn't matter about, you don't have to install the CLI into your CI/CD system. You just create your assets, download your assets, check it into Git, and then Lenses will take over from that. So this is the path, the journey we're on to build everything up. And if we go into the next slide, please. We're going to see this in a demo, apparently. So let's have a go. Let's describe, first of all, what we're going to do. So next slide, Marius. So what Marius has done is, because he doesn't want anyone just creating stuff willy-nilly in his production environment, he's created a repo where he wants to describe his entire landscape of everything that's happening in his Kafka cluster. So he's created a repo for me. I'll show you that in a bit. And in that, he's got a GitOps action. Now, we're using a GitOps action. It could be anything else, Jenkins or whatever you want to use, TeamCity. Doesn't really matter. The principle's the same, right? And inside of that repo, we've got that GitOps actions workflow, and then we'll have the definition of our connectors. Now, if we go to the next slide, please. Now, what I want to do, I want to create a connector in Dev. And because I'm a CTO, I don't want to do it command line. I want to press buttons and create something, and then immediately, as fast as I can, get it in production. But in a production environment, Marius has been nasty and he's turned off my permissions. So I can't do it in production. So how do I do this? Because I want the governance and I want the auditing and everything else around this, I've got to create a pull request. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a connector, deploy it in a dev environment. I'm going to download it and I'm going to create pull request in a production environment where it's read only. And I'm going to have the CLI apply my desired state. Make sense? Hopefully it will work that we see. Like Marius, maybe I should share now.
Of course.
Right. Maybe I'll try and share the correct thing. I'll share this screen. You see what's going on. All right. This is the repo that is created. For some reason it's called Lenses Cat, not the French index. I think that's when config is code. What we have in here is if we have the workflow. So let's have a look at that. The main YAML, just briefly, this is not meant to be bulletproof GitHub actions. The most important bit here is we download the Lenses CLI. You could obviously have it installed in the repo. It would be faster. We probably should have done that for the demo, actually. Next step, find the files that have changed. And then here it is. We're going to run the CLI on that file that's changed and do the apply section against our host. But first of all, we want to get it. We need to get a file in here to do it, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Lenses. This is my dev environment. I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, I want to create a connector, and I'm going to pick Elastic because I wrote this connector many years ago, and I'm going to call it live, type live stream. And then I want topics, and my topics is, I can remember what topic I need, IoT system stats. And now we've got our KSQL statement. So this is telling the connector what data we want to take from Kafka and also where we want to write it to in Elasticsearch. So we want to go into
IoT. Interrupting.
Yeah.
Can you increase a little bit your fonts so we can read it?
Let me try and.
Thank you.
Is that better? You see now?
Quite better, yes.
But then I'm going to select everything out of that topic. Next off from IoT system stats. I know I need an extra one because of the way that this thing works. I need to tell it which Elasticsearch cluster. Elasticsearch cluster dot name equals Docker because it's a Docker cluster that we've got here. Do I have everything in there? I don't have my number of tasks. Oh, and I've got topics. I've no spell topics. That would be a problem. Task max 1. No, let's go 2 and max it up. So I should be able to deploy this hopefully. Let's see what it does. Oh, it's failed for some reason, but it doesn't matter. Because what we're trying to show you here is the workflow. So I've deployed this, and let's say it did actually work. We also have it as code here. So what I'm going to do is I'm able to download this. So if I download it, I get the YAML file. And here's my file. If I open it up, it should open up my file explorer somewhere. Where's my file explorer coming? If I launch this one. No problem with my laptop today. Here it comes. You're very, very slow, but I've got lots of them now. Spinny wheel. Wait for them to come up. Curse of the demos today. And if I go into my downloads, I've got my connector. Here it is. What I want to do is I want to open them up, but I want to change it because I want to have my state to be running. So hopefully he opens up. He's opened up on my other screen. Hopefully you can see him now. Can you see him? That's the one I just downloaded. Remember, the state was failed. That was what I was talking about earlier, that we're adding in the state failed. So I've got this file here now. Let me just kill some of those ones. And then it's a bit easier for me to see what's going on. So that's my connector that I've just downloaded. There he is. Now I'm going to go over here. This was back to my environment. So I've got my folder here. And because I'm a CTO, I don't want to go to the command line to check in and use the command line to create a pull request. I'm going to do it directly in here. So I'm just going to say create file, upload file. And I want to drag and drop a file in. So I'm going to drag in my file that I created before. And now I want to create a pull request, and I'll call it live stream. And I'll propose my changes and create a pull request. Pull request has been changed, and I can see that I've got one file, one description of a connector that I want to go in. But I want to go to my dev environment just to show you. Marius has been nasty, right? I've got no button to create a connector. He's locked it down. He's locked it down. He won't let me do it. So the only way I can get it done get it pushed in is via my CI/CD, right? So we go back to the CI/CD, and I go back to, and I need to review the changes. I'll just say it right. That looks good to me. Fine. And now it should allow me to push it in. So I'm going to merge it into master. Normally you wouldn't do this yourself. You'd have your rules on your branches, etc. So now it's merging that in, and away it goes. And now delete that branch, keep this thing nice and clean. And now I've gone look at my GitHub Actions. This is fingers crossed here. My GitHub Actions is kicked off. And now it's running through the steps. So it's downloading Go. It's got to install the CLI there. So this is where you wanted to speed it up. You could actually have the CLI in the repo. But then obviously if we update the CLI, you have to update your repo. But it will download the CLI. So it's working away with the last thumbs a bit, a few seconds, and hopefully it should kick off onto finding the files now. Any second. Give some time here. Is it going to go? But now we've got done. Bang. See, he's gone. He's found my file. He's using a service account and he's pushing it into the repo. If I go back, not to that one, if I go back to my production environment, and am I on the right cluster? I want to be on that cluster. I should have him come in if I quickly, hopefully it hasn't locked me out. No, he hasn't locked me out. There he is. And of course it failed because I didn't configure it. So what I've done is I've got a locked down connectors environment here. I've got no buttons I can press against, and I've just got view permissions. But I've created a connector in my dev environment, exported it, created a pull request. I haven't touched CLI. I'm a CTO. I don't want to do that. I haven't touched the C, and I've put it into my Git repo, gone through a merge request and had it. So there we go. And I think now that's the end of the demo. So we can go back to the last few slides for you, Marius, to close up. And answer any questions.
What's next, Andrew?
What's next in terms of this? So in 5.6, we're looking to add SQL processes in. So inside of SQL processes, my computer is not very responsive today. Inside of SQL processes, you will have a similar button to be able to download a YAML definition of the SQL processes. We'll probably get topics in. The aim is to do everything inside of Lenses. and then you can download it. And then we'll probably put the ability to create the pull request directly from lenses in it. So instead of having that button to go to the other environment, instead of having the ability to download, you would also have the ability to create pull requests directly inside the lenses. And then there's the big one. You point lenses at a Git repo and it will automatically reconcile your state. So as soon as it sees something, it will say, should that be there? Yes or no? And it will hide. Yeah.
No.
And we'll go on next slide. And now, Marius, maybe you want to do the last slide, the call to actions, and then we'll do questioning.
I don't know if Anand's got that question though. He raised his hand earlier. I'm not sure if.
I think Anna asked if Lenses CLI would play with CFK Kafka. And the answer is yes, right? Lenses CLI is just a client to Lenses. So if Lenses plays with your Kafka flavor, then the CLI just hits Lenses. And that's the whole value proposition of using the Lenses CLI or the API for all these operations, because you're getting the RBAC model of Lenses. So you get all this big permission model that allows you to do very specific actions on your Kafka cluster, your other resources, with feeling secure at the same time, not having to go through all the difficulty of setting up the Kafka command line applications like Kafka topics, etc. By the way, just to add to what's coming next, we're also gathering feedback, because what we want to do at Lenses is to build features that matter and that you're actually use, right? If they don't help you, then they don't make sense for us to have. Remember to join our community. We have a Slack community at lenses.io slack.com. We also have Ask Marius, our forum where you can ask questions. And I think that it is. Oh, let's not forget that next week we're continuing with a new topic, which is about auditing your Kafka operations. So same time next week, please join us for the next live stream.